The house always wins. Play long enough, you never change the stakes. The house takes you unless, when the perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house. Welcome in to the Bro Force Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer, talking movies. This is episode 223. I'm your host, the Mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Thank you so much for checking our show out. Before we get into the movie discussion tonight, let's go around and meet the fellow bros. We start with our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. Ronnie, I just got a text from someone claiming to be your former landscaper, asking if I would testify against you in a defamation lawsuit. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, this is actually pretty serious, so I can't comment for a lot of legal reasons, but our former landscaper is coming at me hard. He's a little PMSing about not getting our more work with us.
When your wife sent the group chat that we were in, the text messages he was sending her, I don't know if you follow on Reddit. There's a Reddit subreddit called Nice Guys.
Oh yeah.
It's a bunch of guys like, hey, do you want to go out? And a girl will be like, no. And he'll be like, fuck you, bitch.
That's essentially what it was.
That's basically what it was. He was like,
just so everyone knows, my wife let our landscaper know, like, hey, we asked you to do this and you didn't do this. And instead of responding like, he actually gave a nice response. He was like, oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I'll make sure to take care of that. And then 2 minutes later, he sends my wife like 5-paragraph text message. Yeah. Goes, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to apologize to you guys. I quit. I don't make enough money on you guys. And we're like, what the hell? And he just kept texting my wife, like wanting some sort of pity. It was quite fantastic, actually.
Yeah, we'll have to do a separate podcast about that. All right, next we go into the lab to the mad scientist, Brian Banner. Hey, Banner, with summer just around the corner, what are you cooking up in the lab to make sure that your neighborhood ice cream man doesn't have the jump on you in terms of his deep freeze technology and tasty treats?
For legal reasons, I can't say it. Right, Cycli?
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
absolutely.
I'm supposed to say.
It's a great
It's
intro. No one can talk because of legal reasons.
Not allowed to talk about it because of legal reasons. Patent pending. But I'm just saying, it's NASA technology. Am I allowed to say that?
No.
It's
Everyone,
definitely not
what
NASA
he just
technology.
said. He was kidding.
It's rare that we get to the actual chest day part of our show without some legal issue coming up. So that just kind of par for the course here.
We are sued a lot on this show.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Here on the Bro Force Squad podcast, we start every episode with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is chest day. And if you can tell by the title of this episode, we haven't done this in a long time, one of our One of our movie month bro-offs. Essentially what this is, we pick 2 months from history, basically, and we pit the top 3 movies at the box office from each of those months against each other in 3 head-to-head matchups to see which movie month is superior. So to do this, we take those 3 movies from each month up against each other in 3 different one-on-one matchups. And whichever month wins 2 out of the 3 matchups, at least, is declared the better month. Brian, would you mind telling the people, for one of these movies to defeat the other, there are 3 points up for grabs. What are those 3 points, or how can one of these movies be declared superior to the other one?
First point goes to the winner of the internet vote. So what we do is we take IMDb, Letterboxd, and Rotten Tomatoes, and whichever one wins 2 out of 3 of those points wins the internet vote point. Point number 2 up for grabs is the bros vote. Jeff has this magic bowl that he pulls one of our Bro Force Squad criteria out of, whether it's acting and cast, best scene, not best scene. That was fucking hard. We're not doing best scene. Sorry.
Yeah.
Acting and cast, story and plot,
impact.
And impact. Those are our 3. Again, whichever movie wins 2 out of the 3 wins that point. And because Vegas bets, our 3rd point up for grabs is which movie had the largest box office.
Yep. And so the 2 months competing against each other today are August of 1999 versus May of 2004. Brian, you just randomly picked these because they're both summer adjacent months, right?
Yeah, I did. I wanted a beginning of the summer and an end of the summer, just kind of see how the movies shake out.
Now I have a question as the voice of the audience here. Are we including domestic box office, or is this global box office?
Global.
Wow, interesting.
You didn't
We
think
are
we were
man of
gonna
the
have an
world
answer.
And
podcast.
the main reason is on Box Office Mojo, I just couldn't figure out how to only sort domestic. So that is the rationale.
I thought it was because we were a global podcast, so we have a footprint in
Oh,
189
shit. No,
countries.
yeah. That's
totally it. Totally
Yeah.
it.
That's it. It's for all of
Nothing to do with our incompetence.
No, it's our Chinese Taipei listeners out there who I want them to feel or actually care about their opinion, which we do. All right. This is going to be a bit of a throwback. So the first matchup pits from August 1999, The Sixth Sense against, from May 2004, Shrek 2. So two very different movies.
Very similar.
Yeah, so these were the top grossing movies at the box office from each of these 2 months. The Sixth Sense globally, in its whole run, made more money than any other movie in August of 1999. And Shrek 2 topped May of 2004. So they're basically like the heavy hitters from each month. So I think it's fair that they go up against each other. Brian, to get the first point, would you mind telling us which of these the rest of the world or the internet ratings like the most? And I did want to clarify, because I know, to Cycly's point about the audience wondering, the Rotten Tomatoes score on all of these matchups is the audience score, because fuck the critics.
Naturally. And I believe we are a critic on there. But fuck us.
Fuck all the critics,
Yeah,
but one. Fuck all the critics but one.
I don't think we've ever actually like posted a critic on there, but I think
Yeah, but it
technically
counts.
we are. Yeah.
Yeah, we like, hey, if
All
you
right.
want to do it.
So, for Sixth Sense versus Shrek 2, IMDb, The Sixth Sense came in at 8.2 out of 10. It's a very solid rating. Shrek 2, 7.3. Again, that's not terrible for IMDb. But Sixth
You can
Sense
tell right there that this
takes
is before like the Shreks started to like go downhill with IMDb.
yeah,
'Cause
before they made
I think
40,000 of them.
IMDb is probably the most shrewd in terms of the ratings from my experience.
Letterbox. This one is out of 5 points. Tight one here. Sixth Sense 4.02 versus Shrek 2, which got a 4.03. We had to go to 2 decimals to figure this one out, guys.
Yeah, and to see that, you actually have to like highlight the rating for it to come up. And these both had, I believe, over 50,000 votes on there, so it's pretty substantial sample size.
It's very close. Very close. Now, Rotten Tomatoes, Sixth Sense 90% audience score. Shrek 2 69%. Nice.
Yeah. I almost thought about just saying Shrek 2 should win because it was 69.
Yeah, I mean, it should at least get a half a point, right?
Yeah. All right, so Cycly, what's your opinion? The internet likes The Sixth Sense more, not by a ton, but it does like it more. Are you surprised at all by this over Shrek 2?
No, I'm not too surprised. I'm not surprised though with the Letterbox coming out, just eking out Shrek 2 over Sixth Sense, because I think Letterbox is probably the more newer, movie rating concept that we have compared to IMDb, which has been around for as long as the internet has been, and Rotten Tomatoes, which is algorithm. But I actually think it's because Shrek has kind of really been picked up by Gen Z and younger millennials as like this just really fundamental, cool like meme, and that like it's like SpongeBob. It's like everywhere. People love Shrek, and I think it's become a joke within itself. Whereas Sixth Sense, you kind of had to grow up with it, and also M. Night isn't as revered as he was at the beginning of the late '90s.
Yeah.
So the scores make sense to me, and the Letterbox, the fact that Shrek 2 comes out on top slightly, I see why.
Yeah, I think with like the Puss in Boots reintroduction, people, like you said, the millennials do have a soft spot for Shrek. And when The Sixth Sense came out at the time, like you said, there was not a chink in Shyamalan's armor. I mean, this guy was like fucking appointment television.
He could do nothing wrong.
Oh yeah, he could have pooped in a box. It would have been like, holy shit, I get it.
But by the way, really quickly, just because this is really topical, because O.J. Simpson just died about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and in Shrek 2, there's the scene of he's riding on a white Bronco, escaping the police. So it's like, and that clip was going viral when OJ died. So, it's always topical.
Yeah, Shrek has always, the thing that I've always respected about it is that like you rewatch it as an adult and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
A lot of the humor is missed. All right, Sixth Sense is up 1-0. So if it wins the Bros vote, it wins the matchup. But like Boehner said, we'll still go to box office just because Vegas has lines on this. I drew the story for these two movies. So I will read the plot synopses, and then the two bros and myself will vote on which of these two movies we think has the superior plot. Very similar plots here. We start with The Sixth Sense. Malcolm Crowe, a child psychologist, starts treating a young boy, Cole, who encounters dead people and convinces him to help them. In turn, Cole helps Malcolm reconcile with his estranged wife. And of course, we all know the infamous twist at the end, which if you, for some reason, you haven't seen Sixth Sense,
stop listening and
go watch Sixth Sense.
God,
All
can
right,
you imagine if there's like
because I'm going to spoil the shit out of it.
What? The plot for Shrek 2. Shrek and Fiona travel to the kingdom of far, far away, where Fiona's parents are king and queen. To celebrate their marriage, when they arrive, they find they are not as welcome as they thought they would be.
Ooh, dark.
Cycly, let's go to you first. Story or plot, which do you think is better between The Sixth Sense and Shrek 2?
I mean, they're so alike. You're right. How do I even compare? I mean, I have to go with I feel like this is low-hanging fruit. I have to go with Sixth Sense here. I mean, one, originality. I think we look at Shrek 2 and it's a parody, right? Shrek inherently are parody movies of Disney and cartoon animated movies, much like, Austin Powers is of like James Bond and spy movies. They're fantastic for what they are, and they're super meta, and they have so many layers, like onions. Onions have layers.
Whoa.
And but Shrek 2 is fantastic, but when you come and look at Sixth Sense is something you don't see. Sixth Sense is something that just really reels you in, and it has a fantastic build because it's kind of it just the story really is it keeps you involved the whole time. Whereas Shrek 2, who cares if you go to the bathroom halfway through, because you're not going to really miss
lost.
You're not going to be lost, and you're going to have just as much fun whether you win or not. But Sixth Sense, it's like you don't even want to get up to go to the bathroom, no matter how much you have to pee the first time you watch it. So I'm going to vote Sixth Sense
for sure. Banner, how about you? Shrek 2 or The Sixth Sense, better story?
Yeah, I mean, I think Shrek 2 is a really good sequel. I think it builds off of the first one. It continues kind of that story. I think it's a great story, but it's not Sixth Sense. It needs another movie for this one to. Shrek 2 needs Shrek 1, whereas Sixth Sense doesn't need anything else.
You didn't see the Fifth Sense?
I know.
I
know.
He had to do that.
It's just about some guy who can taste. That's all the movie's about.
That's it. It's like Vince Vincible.
This beef stroganoff is good. Sorry, Banner, we cut you off.
So yeah, I'm going Sixth Sense as well. Again, like Cycly said, the way that this movie builds and builds and builds, and then the incredible twist at the end. There's also a scene in it that I know it's coming, and I still jump every single time I watch it. Every single time.
Exactly.
And that's something that not a lot of movies can do. It builds so much suspense that even though I know it's coming, I still jump.
Yeah, the jump scare is happening, and it is still as effective.
Yep.
I'll make it
what
a
about
clean
you,
sweep.
Horns?
Yeah, I got to go Sixth Sense also. I mean, this is Shyamalan in his prime, basically subverting every idea that we have about this movie. And this was even before the twist. I think the concept of it was pretty cool. And you're sort of wondering, like, why Bruce Willis's character is acting this way the whole time. And then in the end, it's like he's just so fucking cynical because he wasn't believing Haley Joel Osment for, there's like a lot of layers to that, obviously. The only chance I think Shrek 2 had to win this category would have been if it was cast, because having Julie Andrews and John Cleese voice Fiona's parents would have been pretty tough to beat. But with story, I actually think Sixth Sense, of all the 6 movies we're going to talk about today, probably has the best story of any of them.
I honestly think the movie was capturing even without the twist. I mean, the twist just like threw it over the top. Like the movie inherently, like if you weren't even expecting a twist, I feel like you were still enjoying the film. It wasn't you walked out like, that movie sucked until a twist.
Right.
Like that movie just holds you in outside of that, which was even more impressive.
Yeah, the twist is just the cherry on top. And I believe for me, this was my first introduction to Haley Joel Osment.
Man. Talk about late 90s M. Night Shyamalan and Haley Joel Osment, man. Like, wild. What happened to him?
He got fat.
Yeah,
He did.
Life happened.
He's still
to him.
around.
Yeah, although cycling.
He's been in some stuff recently.
Yeah, he's made a little bit of a comeback. Not much, not Josh Hartnett wise, but
It's funny you mentioned Josh Hartnett because Cycling and I don't want to say it on pod yet, but we had a little off pod discussion about a theory that could involve the two of them in a film together and M. Night Shyamalan. So we'll see.
Shyamalan
All right.
ding dong.
So it looks like Sixth Sense wins automatically it wins the point here over Shrek 2 because it wins the internet vote and the bros vote. Just so Vegas knows, the box office total here actually would have gone to Shrek 2. Shrek 2 made a worldwide gross of $441.2 million, which makes sense. Kids movie, mass appeal. Yep. And The Sixth Sense, actually for a rated R movie from, at the time, a director that was not as bankable as he is now, made $293.5 million, which is really good.
Considering that definitely didn't have the global impact. I mean, like, Sixth Sense is not going to probably capture as many global audience as Shrek 2 as well. Like, right. So outside not just being a kids movie, but that's really impressive for Sixth Sense.
Absolutely.
And Shrek 2 came out right as schools are releasing, and Sixth Sense is right before schools are going in. But again,
which maybe helps Sixth Sense because parents like drop their kids off, take the day off, and they're like, all right, now I'm going to go watch this kid get poisoned by her mom. Misha Barton get poisoned with oatmeal. Oh, love spoiler. All right. Our second matchup, representing August 1999, the second highest grossing film from that month, is the Pierce Brosnan, The Thomas Crown Affair, coming off of GoldenEye, red fucking hot. Going up against, for May 2004, Roland Emmerich finally decided to do a disaster movie in The Day After Tomorrow.
I don't know why he abandoned it so fast, too. He had something going with that kind of movie.
I feel like he had so much more to say in that genre. Cycly, would you mind telling us who the internet liked between these two movies, Thomas Crown Affair from August of 99 and The Day After Tomorrow from May of 04?
Yeah, so pretty close on IMDb. We got The Thomas Crown Affair coming in at 6.8 out of 10.
Almost 6.9.
Oh, almost, but not quite there, unfortunately. But The Day After Tomorrow, still a solid 6.5. So just 0.4, 0.45 coming in between Thomas Crown Affair and Day After Tomorrow. Now, Letterboxd, a little bit more separation for the Thomas Crown Affair coming in at 3.34 out of 5. And The Day After Tomorrow with a 2.9, a little, I don't know. That's a rough score in my opinion there.
And honestly, higher than I would have thought for The Day After Tomorrow.
It goes both ways. I'm like,
Letterboxd is a little more artsy, and so to have it almost at a 3, I'm just a little bit surprised.
And with Rotten Tomato audience score, we got the Thomas Crown Affair coming in at 77%, and The Day After Tomorrow coming in at nice solid 50%, right in the middle, creamy middle.
I would say The Day After Tomorrow is the type of movie that audiences don't like, but it's also probably not the type of movie that critics don't like. So I don't really know and I will say, as far as Roland Emmerich goes, this was kind of a cooler idea. Like, it was, I think the disaster element was certainly there, but it was supposed to be this like father and son trying to reunite with Gyllenhaal and Quaid.
I love the movie.
It's not horrible. It's definitely not. Like, if you made me rank my Roland Emmerich movies, this would definitely be in the top half.
That would be a fucking fun like segment for us to do.
They would just all fucking blur together. 2012.
I would get them all so confused.
That would be we should actually do a trivia where we ask a question about one of these movies and then you have to guess which one
it's in.
God, that hurts my brain.
Yeah, Rob and I just watched one of his more recent ones, and it's just as good as you would expect. So
which one? Regurgitates?
No, I have to look it up. I can't. That's the thing about
Moonfall.
Moonfall. Yeah, I think I was texting you during that. Like, so bad. I love it.
Yeah, I actually saw Moonfall, and it doesn't get ridiculous enough fast enough, to be honest.
Ooh, that's rough.
Especially considering the concept.
Yeah, like the world doesn't end quick enough for me. All right, Thomas Crown Affair gets the first point. Now it's up to us to decide the second point here. I will draw from the 3 Bro Force Squad criteria. Ooh, it's the impact of the movie. So between the Thomas Crown Affair and...
This is tough.
So before we do that, just so people know if they're not familiar, let me read the plots to each of these two films. while the bros can kind of marinate on which one they remember better or remember anything from, really. So the Thomas Crown Affair from 1999 stars Pierce Brosnan, red hot off GoldenEye, and Rene Russo, just red hot in general. Dennis Leary's also in it. The plot synopsis: a very rich and successful playboy amuses himself by stealing artwork, but may have met his match in a seductive detective. And The Day After Tomorrow, of course, directed by Roland Emmerich, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Dennis Quaid, and a young Emmy Rossum. The plot synopsis: Jack Hall, paleoclimatologist, must make a daring trek from D.C. to New York City.
Thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
From D.C. to NYC to reach his son, trapped in the crosshairs of a sudden international storm which plunges the planet into a new ice age. Banner, we'll throw it to you first. Impact here can literally be whatever you want, because it's what do you remember from either of these films? Do you have a positive connotation of them in your head? Which one gets the point for you, Thomas Crown or Day After Tomorrow?
So I gotta think about this, because Impact was this is one of Gyllenhaal's early movies, right?
Yes, I'm trying to think.
I guess Donnie Darko before.
Yeah, Donnie Darko was one of his first, but
had he done Bubble Boy yet? Probably right around this time, right?
It was probably around the same time. It doesn't matter. Look, what I remember about Thomas Crown Affair is the first rated R movie I ever saw in the theaters was Deep Blue Sea. And me and my friends went and saw that while our parents went and saw the Thomas Crown Affair.
It was definitely a parents' date movie.
Yes, sure. That is what I remember about it. They saw it. I have not. I hear good things.
So you can't give it the point because you went to a different movie.
Because I went to a different movie. That's all. That's what I have to give it to The Day After Tomorrow.
I was disappointed Deep Blue Sea in the box office gross barely got beaten out by our third place movie on this list.
No way. Oh my God.
I know. And I really wanted it to be involved.
Nothing would have made Brian happy.
Are you sure you did global and not just the domestic?
Yeah, because I don't know how to find the domestic.
Damn it.
But Deep Blue Sea, definitely check out our commentary on it. It has a special place in this pod's heart. Sure. All right. So, Boehner, you give your point to Day After Tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
All right, Cycly, how about you? Impact, which can basically be whatever you want it to be for.
I'm going to go with Pierce Brosnan coming off GoldenEye, and I believe Tomorrow Never Dies, and I think World Is Not Enough came out at the same time.
Wow.
Not literally, like the same year.
I mean,
as
Red
Thomas Crown
fucking hot.
Affair. Yeah, but you know what's interesting to me is that Pierce Brosnan, I mean, I'm not saying this is like a James Bond movie. Obviously, it's not. But I don't think there's a lot of impact here because Pierce Brosnan really it's like, okay, he's kind of another like spy. He's not a spy, but thriller-esque.
Yeah, he's a thief. Yeah.
You know, like.
And he uses gadgets
really,
in the movie, if I remember.
Yeah, it doesn't really. I remember it being kind of like, I don't know what he was trying to accomplish with the role. I'm not saying, like, a lot of people who have to do one character for a long time really don't want to be typecast.
Yeah.
And him doing this in the middle of his James Bond run, I think that inherently is why it's not memorable. Because it's hard to piece Pierce Brosnan with that. So that's why I feel like I'm going to go the impact, which is so weird to say, to Day After Tomorrow, because... One, I fucking love bad disaster movies. My wife and I, like I said, when we watch Moonfall, we're like, let's just drink a bottle of wine or two and put on a bad disaster
and watch the
movie.
moon for some reason have a vendetta against the earth.
2012, the amount of times a plane takes off.
Right. All that movie
over
is
a runway that collapses under its tires. I do think impact of the difference is this. I think. This movie was at least a little more relevant and didn't make fun of itself as much. And, you know, climate change is very real, and climate change at this time was a very hot topic. So it was a big play coming out during election year. It was really like, I don't know, there was a lot of thoughts there. So it's still things we're dealing with as a society. So I'm going to go with Day After Tomorrow. I don't think it deserved that kind of breakdown, but
yeah, I do remember seeing the Thomas Crown Affair. I don't remember it too well, but I remember thinking this is like James Bond, but minus like all the cool shit that I want to see in James Bond.
Right.
Like he's not technically the main character, and if I believe there's like a little cat and mouse between Rene Russo and him, where you kind of don't even know if he really is the person pulling off these heists while she's like investigating him. It's kind of a cool concept for a movie, but as far as movies that like and this could be partially because it's like so much more ridiculous in terms of its premise, but like living in the zeitgeist and in my brain, I think about The Day After Tomorrow way more than I think about the Thomas Crown Affair. And it's not that I think about it much, but like I definitely have more vivid memories of it. I remember a lot of weird shit happening with wolves in the third act, and they're like all CGI, and I was like, yeah, this was probably too ambitious for 2004, like fully CGI wolves. And I think to Cycly's point, I just remember having fun with The Day After Tomorrow because this was before Roland Emmerich was really like even in on the joke, which I think he kind of is now. He's like, wait, that wasn't like a really good piece of cinema. And I actually remember Jake Gyllenhaal being pretty decent in it. And it was a cool concept.
They take it seriously.
Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal is one of the rare people of his generation that doesn't matter how ridiculous the role is, he's in it.
And I think, I mean, there might be one I'm missing, but off the top of my head, the only movie at the time that I could really remember where like weather was the quote unquote antagonist before this was probably Twister. So it was still kind of a bit of a novel concept to have like humans versus Mother Nature when we had the technology to make something kind of cool with it. All right, so I'll go Day After Tomorrow, clean sweep there. It's tied at 1 point apiece. Boehner, if you have the show notes up, do you want to fill the people in on who of these 2 months is going to win? Because one of these movies has a higher box office gross globally, and that's who's going to get the nod here.
I don't think this is a surprise. Thomas Crown Affair from August of 1999 grossed 69.3.
Nice.
It's a romantic movie. It's only right that it's a 69.3. Coming in from May of 2004, The Day After Tomorrow, grossing 186.7 million. I don't think we're surprised. It's a disaster movie at the beginning of summer.
Well, and Boehner single-handedly tanked Thomas Crown by not going to see it.
Yeah, he did that on purpose.
I did.
Was it South Park or something? Like, in front of The Day After Tomorrow, it was like the day after tomorrow or something like that.
And it's like the pending doom. It's like, no, we still have another day. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it doesn't really feel that ominous if we have like another 36 hours. Yeah, we just have to kind of wait till the end of mankind. All right. So that means if the Day After Tomorrow beats Thomas Crown Affair, August of 99 and May of 04 each have 1 point in this matchup. So whoever wins this final matchup, it's the rubber game right here. And again, could not be two more different movies. Representing August.
Makes this so much fun.
I know. I wish it would have been Deep Blue Sea, but also I kind of don't after seeing the movie that barely beat it out. I'll look that up at some point to figure out how close they were. But representing August of 1999 is the Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy comedy Bowfinger. And it will be going up against, if Geiger were on the pod, he would be combing his pants right now, because representing May of 2004 is the Brad Pitt-led Troy. Directed by, I believe it's Ridley Scott, right? Let me double check. No, Wolfgang Peterson, who did Air Force One. Even better.
Even better.
Fuck yeah. All right, Boehner, would you mind letting the people know which of these two movies is going to win the internet vote, basically who the rest of the world thinks, aside from us, thinks is the better film, between Troy and Bowfinger?
IMDb, Bowfinger, 6.5. Troy from IMDb, 7.3.
Wow, that's higher than I remember. I thought that movie bombed in the critics rating, but I guess it's IMDb.
Well, yeah.
You can't trust it, but you got to trust it. Letterboxd, Bowfinger, 3.3. Troy, 3.3. Now, I see what you did here, Jeff. We have a tie.
So we had to go whichever one had more votes, right?
Yeah, Bowfinger had 31.6 thousand votes, and Troy has 240.4 thousand votes. So more people have seen Troy than Bowfinger. So Troy's got to get the point.
That'd be hilarious if it won box office, though. Be like, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had Rotten Tomatoes tie one time, and we had to go to the critics vote. I remember.
I was so grossed out by that.
Yeah. Speaking of Rotten Tomatoes, Bowfinger, 61%. It's respectable. Against a Troy, 73%. So Troy takes a clean sweep of the internet vote.
Yeah, so Troy is the darling of the internet, meaning it's up to us to see who will get the second point. This could be one of the two criteria we've had, or it could be a brand new one. It is story. Once again, all right, here we go. The plot synopsis for the 1999 comedy Bowfinger, actually directed by Frank Oz, voice of Yoda.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah.
No
Whoa,
idea.
whoa. You're gonna give him Yoda, but not the Muppets? Come on, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah.
He was a Muppet first.
I know, but he's like all the Muppets. Which one would I even pick?
All of them.
Miss Piggy. Here you go. Miss Piggy directed Bowfinger. That actually probably
See, that
helps.
sounds way cooler when you say it like that. Actually.
Too bad this isn't Impact, because that
That
right
would've
there would
You know how
win.
much I would pay for like the back, like the behind the scenes like documentary?
Cut. No.
She would make herself the star by
my
halfway
God.
through filming.
Let me do it. No. That's Eddie Murphy. It's like when I said Miss Piggy directed Bowfinger, it's like once you've made the sale, quit
Yes.
selling.
I'm in.
All right, the plot for Bowfinger. When a desperate movie producer fails to get a major star for his bargain basement film, he decides to shoot the film secretly around him. And the plot synopsis for Troy, an adaptation of Homer's great epic, the film follows the assault on Troy by the United Greek forces and chronicles the fate of the men involved. Cycly, very different stories here. So you can take this however you want. You can do it like, which movie would you rather see? Which sounds more interesting, or maybe just the one you think overall had like a better script.
Yeah, so I'm a little torn here because I'll be honest, I have not seen Bowfinger, but I have seen Troy. And I was just curious about this because I remember Troy being kind of panned by critics. So I know this doesn't mean anything, but critical reviews with 53% for Troy on Rotten Tomatoes, 81% for Bowfinger, which is interesting to me because like if you told me the stories and I didn't know anything about Troy, I actually did not enjoy Troy. I think the potential and the story is there.
Yeah.
That the cast is there, the epicness, like everything about Troy should have been like up there for an Oscar nom, like a Braveheart type. Like there's no reason it shouldn't have been. It really had low-hanging fruit, and the fact that it didn't become a cultural impact based on that. So I know we're talking about story, but because I'm kind of handcuffed, it's a great story. Bowfinger sounds like is a really like that sounds hilarious to me. I don't know how I've never seen it. I honestly don't even remember it. Cast seems awesome. So I'm going to go with Bowfinger because one, I have seen Troy and it was disappointing. It's a story based on one of the most ancient, stories in human history. So Bowfinger at least comes out with something original and at least probably won't disappoint me as much as Troy did.
Yeah, and to your point about cast, again, I know that's not the category here, but Bowfinger, very good comedic cast.
Yeah.
Heather Graham also in it right around the time that The Spy Who Shagged Me came out. So her comedy chops on full display there. All right, Bowfinger up 1-0. Banner, who are you going to go with for your story plot point?
So I am going to be honest as well. I have not seen Bowfinger, and I've only seen Troy maybe once.
It's long.
It's very
Like 2
long.
hours,
That's what I
40
was just
minutes, I
looking.
think.
That's what I was just looking up here. So
Yeah,
Troy is
2:43.
2 hours,
Oh my
2:43. Bowfinger is an hour 37. So taking everything into account, I have to give it to Bowfinger as well. I think the premise sounds hilarious.
It's not an overtold story. I don't want to say Troy is an overtold story. It's not an overtold story. And I think it was a great way that this was told, way better than learning about it in school. But it's just so damn long.
Yeah, to adapt the Odyssey is like, again, that's why it's 2 hours 43 minutes.
No,
Yeah.
that needs to be a show on HBO.
A show.
And honestly,
Yeah.
I'm surprised it hasn't been. Or, like Amazon Prime. Like, that's what kind of dedication the Iliad needs. Like, you cannot do this. And that's why I think the movie is disappointing. It's too much in too little time, or it's also too long, and it just fluffs over everything.
Right. And again, the cast is amazing. I mean, all the parts are there.
Yeah, it checks all the boxes. It just kind of stumbled across the finish line.
Yeah. I'm going to make it a clean sweep and agree with you, Banner. I saw Bowfinger. It was one of those movies that, like, I think my dad watched with me, and I, like, wasn't supposed to watch it. There's, like, some nudity in it. Hello.
Whoa.
And it just, like, hit a sweet comedic spot for me. It's pretty stupid. like Eddie Murphy's character is like an idiot who doesn't realize he's basically being taken advantage of. But Steve Martin is Steve Martin, and Heather Graham is great in it. So it's fun. And then the premise is cool. Again, for Troy, maybe just the time it came out too. 3 years after, or I guess 4 years after Gladiator, and it's kind of like, dude, we've basically seen this but done way better.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, thanks, but no thanks.
Dude, Robert Downey Jr. and Jamie Kennedy are in this too.
In Bowfinger?
Yeah. I'm going down the cast list. Holy crap. Jamie Kennedy, who was he had a little bit of fame there in the late 90s,
yeah, man,
early 2000s.
Scream came out what, 2 years before that? Scream 2 was probably about to come out. So good job, Bowfinger. Ties it up at 1. We're going to end with the box office total. Cycling, not to put you on the spot, I'll let you to announce it if you have the notes up. If not, I can do it for us.
Yeah, I do. So are we ready for this? Troy with $133.3 million, and Bowfinger, not shocking to me again, $66.3 million. I mean, that's not surprising, right, guys? I mean, Troy, global impact, war movie, Brad Pitt. Whether or not we like the film, it's an epic. Bowfinger, there's a reason I probably didn't see it, and same with Brian, probably specific audiences, and I don't know how much of a global impact, Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy have. So, yeah, that's not surprising to me.
66.3 million for a comedy in '99. That was pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Yeah, like the budget was probably like $8 million.
You're not going to win when you're going up against Brad Pitt's ass.
No. And abs. I am a firm believer in doing the inflation adjustment on Box Office Mojo, because it's really about butts and seats to me. That to me really, it's hard to debate movies when we talk about box office. It's always like, to me, I'm like, well, yeah, like the Gone with the Wind had the most butts and seats ever. But I don't know. It's a good breakdown because now we have more global audiences than we ever did too. So it's hard to compare.
I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that on Box Office Mojo.
I think you can, but it's been a minute.
I'm sure you can. All right. Well, with Troy winning the tiebreaker of total box office over Bowfinger, that will give August 2004 the edge, 2-1 over May of 1999. It is the superior movie month. Congratulations to all those August 04 heads listening at home.
They're rioting in the streets.
It's going to be, we need to grease up the telephone poles because they're going to be trying to fucking climb on shit. Banner, I did look up Deep Blue Sea. The reason it was not in this matchup is it was actually released July 28th. So if we ever
Still
did
got a shot.
Yeah, because we do release date and then total gross, if we ever do July of 99.
All right.
I won't be suspicious when next time we do this, it happens to be the next pick.
I think we should do whatever month Jaws came out versus whatever month Deep Blue Sea came out.
See, that would be fun.
Dude, that'd be sick. And then we have to figure out the adjustment for inflation because we want to make it fair for the
we don't want to embarrass Jaws.
Right. That was my point. Yep. All right. Well, congratulations to it should be May of 04. My bad. Did I say August?
You did, but I was.
You did, but we figured it out.
Yeah, May of 04 wins. The
people were running in the streets. They're like, "Shit, wrong month."
Wait, do we? And the cops are like, "Well, we already arrested this guy. What do you want us to do? Let him go." All right, that brings us to our second part of the show, a protein shake, where we go around and talk about what's in our cup, also known as what have we watched lately. Cycly, you want to go first? What have you seen since we last spoke to you?
Do you want to? I think you and I just watched something together this week. Do you want to talk about it first, or I don't even know if you have it on your list?
It is on my list. Let's go for it.
Yeah. So, recently watched Late Night with the Devil. That came out about 2 months ago, I think.
Sounds
so it's supernatural, like a horror film, but it's really cool. It's like set during the 1970s, I believe. And it's basically like a late night comedy show, right? Like Johnny Carson, but it's basically a competitor of Johnny Carson, and he just can't beat Johnny Carson in the ratings. And so this basically the main plot of the show is like this comedian is doing whatever he can to get number one in the ratings, and so he gets a little more ambitious with his guests and skits. And one on a Halloween show, again, not to give it too much away, he basically they make it a whole Halloween horror theme, guests with like people who can talk to the paranormal, people who do exorcisms, that kind of thing. And the movie is made in real time, right? Like the movie is showing us the episode of which this occurs. So
yeah,
that
and
I
it's
think
cool
was
because
really
it goes
cool.
from like what's on air to like even the commercial breaks. Like we don't leave the characters or this setting throughout the film.
The commercial
After
breaks
the-
honestly were my favorite parts.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because
I
the
thought that was
characters are more candid. Yeah, and they're not putting on this TV persona.
the musical lead who, like, you know, they keep doing that banter with, like, showing how freaked out he's getting by the type of guests and the things they're talking about. This is obviously supernatural horror. If you listen to the pod before, Jeff and I are big horror heads. Not so much on the supernatural versus like realistic horror, but I do think there's a really good play for supernatural in terms of like subtlety, not going too much in because it can be really distracting. This film clocks in about like what, an hour 30, and
Ooh,
With
that's a perfect
credits, so
runtime.
even shorter. Yeah.
yeah, it's even shorter, and it's really all build up. I think the first hour I paused it to go to the bathroom and I was like, there's only 25 minutes left, and it's been building to this moment. Now, I don't think this film in long term is going to be that memorable. I think it's a really fun watch. It is fun for what it is. I don't know how to say his last name. David Dasmalchian. Like he's I should know how to say it because he's Armenian, but he's been in a lot of things. He's been in some of the Batman movies.
He's like a super character actor. Like he's in Ant-Man series. He's like one of Scott Lang's like friends and his crew. Of course, I always remember him, like you said, from The Dark Knight. He's the one that Dent picks up because he thinks he's the Joker.
He plays he's always really good at being kind of like creepy, but this is the first time he gets to lead. I thought the performances were really solid. The end lost me a little bit. I think they had a really great idea. Again, that's when it gets to the supernatural stuff. But guys, for an hour and 25-minute watch, like it's a fun movie, and it really does set the tone. It's creepy in a lot of ways. I wasn't scared, but it was very like just unsettling in parts. So I don't know, Jeff, what did you think?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all that. I really like the setting of it. Like I said, I can't think off the top of my head of a movie where the framing device is like the taping of a TV show, and we don't leave that setting outside of essentially like the prologue, even for commercial breaks. It's like you're living this in real time with the characters, and that helps build the tension because it's almost like we don't know what's going on. There's no expository scene where someone's like, this is the curse or this is what we're dealing with. Like we're in it with the characters, which is really fun. I always love a good period piece. You guys know that. So when would you say this is set? Like mid 70s?
I would imagine 70s based on what he's wearing.
Yeah, like attire.
I don't know if it tells us. Maybe it does tell us. Yeah. Okay, I just looked it up. 1977.
Okay. I didn't know exactly when like Carson was in his heyday, but he's referenced a lot just because this fictional, like you said, talk show is trying to beat him in the ratings. But you're right. It's all a lot of build. And even though, like, for me, not being a huge fan of supernatural horror, like you mentioned, it doesn't totally stick the landing. Like, I really respect what it did. And there was definite tension. Like, the whole time you're, like, kind of creeped out. And you just have, like, this uneasy feeling, especially that one scene. I won't spoil it, but with the hypnosis, if you remember what I'm talking about, where he hypnotizes his, like, number 2.
Yeah.
I nominated it for and it was a thin category. It was actually the first nomination we have so far, but for best horror movie at the Oscars next year. And I because Night Swim was not going to get a nomination after I saw it.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be there's a lot of horror movies to come out this year for sure, but it's up. I mean, the this was 97% on the critic score. Yeah,
I'm surprised it's that high, but I guess if you see the trailer and like it I think effectively does everything it tries to do.
And if you watched the trailer and didn't like, Jeff, you weren't that interested in on the trailer, right? Like,
yeah, again,
I think it's worth watching.
When you saw it and said it was pretty interesting, that's when I gave it a poke, and I don't regret it at all. It was pretty entertaining, and like you said, at that runtime, like it's hard to really have any complaints.
I was just about to say, I'm probably going to check it out just because it's an hour 20. I mean, that's
you
such
really
an
should.
easy watch.
At the end of the day, like, even if you don't like this film, this is what I told Jeff before he watched it. Even if you don't like it out there, if you're not a supernatural person or whatever, but you like horror, the film is entertaining. Like you're not going to be like this.
It keeps your
sucks.
attention the whole time.
It keeps your attention, whether or not you're happy at the end. That's fine, but you still had a good time watching it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's Late Night with the Devil. I and Cycly would encourage you to check it out. Banner, I think the wife will like it too. She kind of likes like the
Oh yeah, that's right
horror
up her
stuff.
alley. Right up her alley.
All right, Banner, what you got? What's in your cup?
All right, I'm gonna stick along kind of those same lines of what Cycly just said. I watched something where I loved the ride. I was intrigued and captivated the entire time. I'm still have very mixed feelings about the end, and that is a show that we watched on Peacock called Apples Never Fall. You guys heard of this?
Yes,
I have not.
Sam Neill, Jake Lacey's in it.
Allison Brie.
Yep.
Can I just say I've seen an apple fall? Like I don't.
No, you haven't. Nope.
No, yeah, no, it was a fake
Fuck.
apple.
Shit, you're right.
Nope, no, you didn't.
So this is a story. It's 7 episodes. Each episode follows a family member or follows somebody.
I believe this is based on a book too, right? That's what my wife was
maybe.
telling me.
Possibly. I could totally see it being a book. But basically, you got this family, and the mom feels underappreciated. Something happens to her, and she disappears. And it's the story about them trying to find her and figure out what happened to her. Great acting.
Annette Bening is the mom, right?
Yes, really good story. Again, the ending I have mixed feelings about. It was kind of that was okay. I didn't see it coming, that's for damn sure, but definitely worth it. Little long, each episode's 45 minutes to an hour, but again, very captivating, really good acting. Jake Lacey, Sam Neill. I like both of them, but both of these guys just going head to head, man.
Jake Lacey, especially from The White Lotus season 1, is just so good at playing a douchebag. So
Yes.
they're like an affluent family. That's kind of the same vibe I got from the trailer. That's what his character is.
Yes, he is definitely. So he's the oldest brother. He's definitely the douchebag of all of them, and he's very good at it. Yes, you are correct.
Like suspiciously good.
Yes,
Like why
he
are you so
might
good
be
at-
a douchebag in real life.
Right. He
was the good guy in season 9 of The Office, guys.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right.
He's the villain in one of the Johnny English movies that I watched a while back. Which is just, those are great.
That was a dark time in your life, though. So
yeah, it was. I always just picture Jake Lacey though with like a douchey polo on, like how he just lives his whole life.
Sam Neill was fantastic in this. I've never seen him so emotional, I guess. That's the way to say it.
Yeah, it's always good to get Sam Neill on something.
Very, very good. It was, again, really enjoyed it. I suggest it. Check it out. Apples Never Fall.
Nice. How many episodes?
I think it was 7.
Interesting. Wife had mentioned it to me, and it was something that I was interested in.
Yeah, it's worth it. I'd say it's worth it.
All right, I watched a movie called Snack Shack that came out, I don't know, like probably a month or 2 ago. I'll read you the plot synopsis here because when I saw this trailer, again, you guys know I'm an absolute sucker for anything. It's a bit of a period piece. So the plot synopsis is Nebraska City, 1991. 2 best friends get the chance to run the swimming pool Snack Shack that later comes to be the perfect scenario for transgression, fun, personal discovery, and romance. This is, I would say, like a coming-of-age comedy set in 1991 about 2 best friends who are the summer between their junior and senior year of high school. All they want to do is get drunk and make money over the summer, and they get the idea to run the Snack Shack at their local pool, and just craziness ensues from it.
it sounds
The
like
cast-
really fun.
That sounds awesome.
Oh, it is just outside of my top 100 movies of all time.
Wow.
I nominated it for Bros Best Picture this year.
Wow. Okay.
I ran the gamut of emotions from this. I was laughing. I was crying. I didn't want this thing to fucking end. It completely took me by surprise. It's one of the best movies I've seen in probably like the last year and a half. It was incredible.
Okay.
Wow.
I almost don't want to say any more because something happens
I'm
in the
in.
movie that
I'm
like
in.
kind of.
I'm into. What'd you watch this bad girl on?
My local library. I rented it.
Perfect.
But think like Sandlot meets like
Superbad
old
or
school.
something?
Yeah,
Okay.
Sandlot meets Superbad. That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, because the
That's
two
why you're
friends.
describing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a lot more heart than you give it credit for, but it's also like a very raunchy comedy that we really don't get much anymore. And it's set in 1991, a time that we remember pretty well. But the two main guys, like one of them is like out of control with his like quote unquote business ideas. And the other one is like, dude, I just kind of want to like sneak beer into the snack shack all summer and get hammered. He's like, bro, but we could make so much fucking money with this thing. They realize at one point, so they start charging little kids at the snack shack, or they'll charge you 50 cents extra, but they will write fuck on your hot dog with mustard. And it becomes like a huge moneymaker for them. So the kids order, can I have a fuck dog? And it's 50 cents extra, and they just write fuck with mustard. They end up making like $200 extra a week off of this upcharge.
Dude, that is genius.
I know, it's hilarious.
I almost want you to stop talking about it because
Okay.
I might watch this tonight or tomorrow.
I was gonna say I'm not sure what I've got on the docket tonight, but
You should.
Just jumped it.
You guys will get the tissues ready, but also you'll be laughing your ass off. Too.
This would be a perfect double feature at a drive-in with The Late Night with the Devil and Snack Shack because they're always like polar opposite films.
Yeah,
that would be cool, actually.
Yeah.
The one name so there's a lot of people in this. You're like, okay, they're from something. I've seen them before. Nick Robinson though is probably the guy that you will really recognize. He plays like a friend. He's like a guy from college who's visiting for the summer, and he like hooks them up with beer and stuff. So he's like a cool.
He's their connection.
Friend of the crew. Yeah, exactly. So Snack Shack just came out. Check it out. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. All right, that's. I had one other thing I might talk about. Do you guys have anything else?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Yeah, I got a couple things.
All right, let's do it. Cycling back to you. What's in your cup?
I'll do 2 and 1 here. I don't know why I decided to watch this, but I just did because it showed up on Max. I almost said HBO. I apologize.
Oh God.
Whoa.
So this sounds weird. So you guys remember like the 2011 Rise of the Planets of the Apes? I mean, I don't know if maybe you guys have watched all of these. I hadn't, and I mean, I watched Rise of the Planets of the Apes when they came out. That was a great movie. Like it was a great reboot considering the like 2001 remake of Planet of the Apes that was awful. So I had honestly like I remember liking it, and on Max like they had Dawn of the Planet of the Apes the other day, and I was like, I never actually watched that, and I looked at the score.
Kerry Russell one with Jason Clarke?
Which one was which? Yes,
so
Jason Clarke.
James Franco's
yes, that
the
is
first
that one. Yes, James Franco's that's the first one. Yes, Kerry Russell, Gary Oldman.
Rise, Dawn, and War are the three.
Yes.
Right?
So
War is amazing.
That's interesting.
We
should have a talk about here because I watched both. Robin, my wife and I watched Dawn, and then I watched War. By the way, first of all, really enjoyed both of them. I mean, Dawn was cool because I've watched, who hasn't? If you can't call yourself a movie buff, if you haven't seen the original Planet of the Apes, it's like whether you like these movies or not, like
it's a rite of passage.
It's a rite of passage, and if you want to talk twist endings, like we talk about Sixth Sense, like Planet of the Apes is like, set the scene in the 60s for twist endings. Dawn was really cool because this was the first time I've seen one of these movies where it's really the majority from the ape or monkey perspective. Like, like 80% of the movie is Caesar and his tribe and dealing with how they react to it. And it's only like 20-25% that's like the human side of things. And I was like I did not know that going in. I thought it was going to be like another, just what are the humans doing while the apes are, rising and rebelling and becoming more intelligent. So I really liked Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And then I watched War immediately after. And I really liked War too. Woody Harrelson is a perfect bad guy. I mean, he's Woody Harrelson.
He's
like
phenomenal.
Steve Zahn. And I would love to hear, Brian, your opinion. Like War was really good, but I felt that the difference was, if you're like, since these are prequels, right, considering what happens, hundreds of years later to the original story, I felt like Dawn had something to say about the development and evolution of the apes. Whereas War was a cool story, but like long term, I didn't feel like that part of the story needed to be told. I thought it would have been a little more impactful. I guess we got the humans getting another variation of the virus where they can't talk anymore, which obviously does play into the future, the original Planet of the Apes. So I didn't like War as much. I thought they were both really solid movies, though. Like I think these are fantastic reboots.
I think War is the perfect culmination of all three movies. If you watch them in succession, you have Rise first. Okay, we see how the monkeys or how these apes started to learn and started to get smarter and evolve. Then we saw in Dawn where they start to figure out, wait, we can be superior, we can win. And then in War, you have the final kind of the final step to a true Planet of the Apes forming in this new virus that comes, as well as them proving that, like, hey, we can beat you kind of at your own game.
I liked in Dawn too, like the politics within the ape community, like Caesar and I can't remember Toby Kebbell's character.
Kojo.
Was that
Kojo?
Yeah, and them like sort of vying for power and like the deception among the apes that they like the fact that they actually had some characterization there, considering they're like they weren't like very limited in how they could talk in the second one, was really well done, I thought. And the second one, that's Dawn, right? The second one?
Yes.
Yeah, Dawn's the second one.
Like I didn't see any. I think I only saw Rise in theaters. Like I think I might go see Kingdom in theaters because they're solid movies.
They're fantastic, yeah. Now
this is probably a dumb question. Is Kingdom supposed to be a follow-up to War? I mean, I know that like it seems like a lot of time has passed, but
it is, but I think
continuity?
it's like 300 years in the future.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
wow.
like it's
Full
like way
on
down
Planet
the
of the
line.
Apes.
Yeah.
I really wonder if the end game is to remake the original.
Maybe.
Like, why
That'd be
not?
cool.
That's the point.
I don't know if we ever posted it or if I even wrote it, but I, in my head at least, had a scenario where you can connect this one to the shitty 2001 one.
I mean, you could. Why not?
Do we
because
want
at the end,
or do we want to?
No, we don't.
That?
We want to forget about it. But Wahlberg does go through a wormhole and ends up at a true Planet of the Apes at the end. He gets arrested. Just saying.
They try to change. I haven't seen that movie in so long because I remember it sucking. But like, they try to kind of dupe the audiences into a really cool ending instead of doing like the original ending. It's like what you did was way worse, and everyone walked out of the theater like that didn't make any sense because the Statue of Liberty had a monkey on it instead of being the Statue of Liberty. I don't know. That's a whole other breakdown.
Yeah. But. So is that like was that supposed to be a reboot? Because at the time, I think people either thought they were connecting to the Heston one, or that it was going to like spawn its own franchise. But
I think it was going to spawn its own franchise.
I think it was supposed to spawn its own franchise, and they're like, "Oh, wait a minute."
Yeah,
I do remember loving Tim Roth in that movie as the villain, though. He was really creepy.
Might be worth rewatching just for fun.
I doubt it.
Doesn't Wahlberg have like a romantic relationship with one of the monkeys?
Yes. Well, they kissed, don't they? It was weird to watch. Yeah. It's like
why
I don't want to see that.
When does I mean, internet exists, but Kingdom, yeah, I should probably catch. I haven't seen
Kingdom comes out in a week, next week, May 10th.
Next week.
Banner, I will be in your area at the end of this month, so if you haven't seen it by then, we should go.
We should.
Nice.
It's a date.
Oh, that's cute.
You can dress as monkeys.
You mean just how we normally look?
Yeah. Just normal.
Just don't shave.
Throw poop at each other.
Anything else likely?
It's just
no. Someone can go. I mean, I have other things, but I don't need to.
Well, Banner, can I jump in because I watched a movie that I think is a good segue. I saw Monkey Man. The Dev Patel.
Shit! I really want to see that.
Yeah, this one's good. I watched this one at my local library too. Sorry to the streaming services out there. I'm not fucking paying you for all these.
At least you're supporting the library.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Tax dollars go there. I liked Monkey Man a lot. Dev Patel definitely has some chops as a director. I'm excited to see his next film. It's like, I'm trying to think. It is a lot of Slumdog Millionaire's DNA in this thing because it's highly based on like the religious and political climate in Pakistan, and how those two things are very. I'm very uninformed, so I'm going to be very careful how I speak here. But how those two things are constantly at opposition with one another. And Dev Patel's character has very similar motivations to his character in Slumdog Millionaire, except this version of his character knows how to kick people's asses and does so
nice.
very, very frequently. It's a very visceral movie. The action is really, really well done. I would imagine Dev Patel does his own stunts because the way this thing is shot, I don't know when they would have had like a stunt double in there for him. But it's intense, man. It slows down quite a bit in the second act to the point where I was like getting a little bit confused with the plot, but then ass kicking starts up again at the end of it, and it's a blast. I gave it a nom for the Oscars for Best Action Movie. We'll see if it can beat The Beekeeper. That's what it's going to come down to.
That's a tough one to beat.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was behind the production company. Maybe you remember, but basically this movie was supposed to go to streaming or something. One of the celebrities behind the production company saw it and goes, "No, we are
Jordan
going
Peele.
to fund." Yeah, Jordan Peele. Okay, so
Yeah, it
was like this has to go to theaters.
Yeah, and it would have been a fun theater watch. I just, this time of year it's tough for me to get. Like in 3 weeks, I'll literally see everything under the sun that comes out in theaters, but I wasn't able to go see this one. But it definitely would have been cooler on a big screen. They do sort of they actually make a reference to John Wick in the movie, which I think is both like an homage and sort of like a wink wink to the audience. But they shoot a lot of this kind of like the soup du jour of action shots, but they shoot a lot of the scenes in what appears to be like one take, even though I'm sure they have like cuts that we're just not aware of, which I just always think is cool because the way that the camera is like in the scene with them, you feel like I'm like 2 feet away from this guy kicking the shit out of this other guy. Also, Banner, I think you know this from our sudden death movie commentary. I love fight scenes that take place in kitchens.
You do. You are a big kitchen guy.
Yeah. And we get a really good version of that in this movie, just because in the kitchen, there's so many things to attack each other with. And they utilize. Nothing will beat in sudden death when Jean-Claude Van Damme kills the Pittsburgh Penguins mascot in the kitchen. But
that's the bar.
Right. This doesn't clear the bar, but it definitely also doesn't like run underneath it for the kitchen fight scene. So Monkey Man,
nice.
Again, it's one of those movies where like if you watch the trailer, that's what it is, and it does a very good job of being that. So I would recommend it if you had interest in it when you saw any marketing materials. All right, Banner, what you got?
All right, I got one. Speaking of kicking ass, this is called. I was telling you a little bit about it off pod, Horns. This is called Boss Level. I think it was 2021.
Yeah.
Hulu movie, got Frank Grillo, Mel Gibson, and Naomi Watts in it. And Groundhog Day style movie. You're stuck in the same day over and over again. But this plays like a video game. So it's narrated by Frank Grillo. And he's basically telling you, hey, this is what happens. I wake up and I do this, and then this guy does that, and then there's this. And every day this happens. And then one day he figures out, well, maybe if something different will happen.
And close the loop.
The rest, yep. And it goes through how many lives he has. It's kind of neat how it does it. Every time he dies, he gets it ticks up one. So pretty good. I think that they did a good job of kind of tying it together of what happened and telling a story. Lots of good kills, good action. For the Groundhog style movie where you're repeating the same thing over and over and over again, I thought it did a really good job of not repeating itself. It was still intriguing the entire way through.
Yeah, the premise of this. Sorry, I was gonna say I love time limit movies. I love action movies. You have me sold. I'm gonna watch this.
Can I say like Groundhog type movies or genres? I actually feel like I don't know if I've ever seen a bad one because like that concept hits. Like I really like Happy Death Day. I don't know if either of you have ever seen that.
Dude, I hadn't seen it. I was all about it. The trailer for the sequel, literally they spoiled the whole twist.
Has it been long enough that you might forget now?
No.
Or do you still remember? Okay.
It's like the first line of dialogue in
yeah.
the trailer.
Okay.
Man, that's crazy that the killer in the first one was this character.
Yeah.
What?
Like I actually recently, my wife is in a book club, and there's a book about it's kind of a time lapse like replay, and I read the book. Like I don't know, there's something in the what's the Andy Samberg like Palm Springs or
Palm Springs,
that's so good, fucking great.
Love
Like
that. It's in my
I
top
like
100,
this
yeah.
genre. Like I don't think there's. I mean, maybe there's others, but everything I've seen out of this type of genre has hit. So I'm in, Brian. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I think I wish somebody else had seen it because I think it would be a good commentary candidate.
Man,
I think it would be. And I'd watch it again. I'd do a commentary on it.
When you described it as like a video game where it's like, yeah, when you die, you just replay the level. That was
exactly.
That's a pretty cool idea to me.
Yeah, that's like they tell you that in like the first 5 seconds, so it doesn't spoil anything.
You said Hulu?
Yeah, Hulu.
When I asked you today what you watched on, you said Hulu? Question mark. It's like this guy's not convinced he saw this on Hulu.
Well, it confuses me because Disney Plus now has Hulu things in it, and so like I get confused.
Yeah, that's fair.
But they're essentially the same thing.
Was it like an R rating? Like Frank could look
yeah.
fuck bombs?
Yeah. Oh yeah, lots of fuck bombs.
Sick.
They don't write fucking mustard on anything.
I mean, Mel Gibson is in this, so.
Mm-hmm. Fucking mustard is 50 cents extra, Brian.
Sorry. Yeah, we didn't have an extra 50 cents.
When I saw that, sorry to digress real quick, in Snack Shack, what I wanted to do real quick was get out, like just make a hot dog so that I could write fuck on it with mustard. I was like, why have I never
I'm
done
definitely writing fuck on my next hot dog.
All right, you guys want to do one more thing we watched or just want to go to the...
Yeah, I got one more.
Yeah, I got one more too.
Bust it out. We'll go reverse order.
All right. Next thing, guys, I finished X-Men 97. I went back, watched all the animated X-Men's, from 92 to 96. That was just fantastic. Such a fun ride to go back and watch them.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing but I'm only like halfway through the OGs because just I wanted to catch back up before I saw the new series. So the new season just ended already?
Yes.
How many episodes was it? It could have been more than like 10.
I think it was like 8, maybe. Yeah, I haven't watched the finale yet. It just came out as of today that we're recording this.
Oh wow, that's short. I thought it was going to be like a regular 15 episode thing. Damn. Yeah. Okay.
I believe it's the finale.
I think you're right because I saw some stuff on like YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, going back, rewatching the regular X-Men animated, fantastic, so much fun, just nostalgia, taking me back to when we watched this the first time, remembering where they left off in X-Men, and they pick up right there in X-Men 97. Awesome. And dude, cool. X-Men 97 is not for the faint of heart. Like, it is a little bit darker. It's a little bit more, a little bit older subject matter than what the old ones were. Still a ton of fun, great action, fantastic character development. It's guys. It's so good.
That's awesome.
It's so fucking good. Yeah.
The animation looked incredible
for you guys
too.
To watch it. The animation was, I mean, it's top notch, on par with anything else that we've got coming out these days.
Is the animation like is it like the 90s or they like make it?
It is. So halfway through the animated show, you'll notice that they like changed some characters and they changed their animation style, and it's closer to the second half. You can tell that it's like cleaned up a bit and like they've advanced technology, but it still has that same like 2D feel.
Okay. Cool. That's exciting.
It is kind of crazy. Brian, as I'm going back rewatching the OGs, I don't know how as a child I missed, like, it has a lot of like important messages about like civil rights that like I always kind of got, but like almost every episode, like that's a key point of what it's getting across. And as a kid, I was just like, the fucking X-Men, with the original series.
And I mean, that's what makes a good animated show, I think, is that you have a show that kids can enjoy, but it's also great as adults. I know I beat this to death, but Clone Wars. It is a fantastic show, whether you're young or you're older, you're going to get something out of it. X-Men is the same way. X-Men 97, I think, is the same way as well. I'd have to go back and rewatch it and really put myself in a younger person's mindset to know if I understand what's going on as much. But there's one scene that Magneto gives a speech, and I've got like chills on my arm thinking about it. It was so fucking good.
That's awesome.
Do we know if it got renewed for another season?
I believe it got renewed for 2. Or I think it's greenlit for 2 seasons, but the showrunner was fired like a week before.
Yeah, there was some weird
it came
shit.
out, and it was some weird shit. So
Yeah.
I think it's still happening. It's just maybe a little going in a different direction. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he like went crazy on Twitter or something, and they were like, "Okay, bro."
Well, it's always good.
Just lost his fucking mind. All right, sick. I'm gonna have to. That is definitely on my list soon. It's just I think I still have like 20 episodes left of the original one.
And it's worth it to go back and watch the original. You definitely need to at least watch the last season, if not the whole thing.
I didn't know it started immediately. That's cool.
Yeah, it literally picks up, and there's several episodes that like go back to the older ones and like reference what happened in those. So definitely worth it to go back. It's a little bit of a grind for being 5 seasons. I think each one's got like 15 to 20 episodes in it, but you can crank them out. They're only 20 minutes long.
Yeah, I'm powering through it. Awesome. All right. I'll go cycling, then you want to finish us off?
Sure.
I saw in theaters with the wife the Zendaya tennis movie Challengers.
Oh, I didn't know you saw that.
Love Zendaya.
Yeah, this was fucking atrocious.
Really? Wow.
Conceptually kind of looks cool. I do not know what it feels like a parody movie of like a sports drama biopic. Every time that the movie is getting like intense and dramatic, the director inserts this German nightclub music. This plays at least 6 times.
Okay,
So,
I'm in. So
I'm in.
Stop. Yeah,
I
you know how I feel
problem.
about German nightclubs.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said this. So like things are getting really intense, and then it's like, what the fuck is happening right now? And I kind of want to spoil the very last shot of the movie.
Do it.
Our theater was laughing out loud. Okay, if you don't want to know how Challengers end, skip ahead like 45 seconds to a minute. All right, so bottom line, Zendaya's married to one of these 2 tennis player guys. She basically tells them at the end, whoever wins this pro-am match against each other is who I'm going to end up with. I'll divorce my husband and marry the other guy. The 2 tennis players figure this out throughout the match. The movie ends. One of them lobs the ball up. This is match point to the other one. He jumps up to spike it, but actually crosses over the net, so it would be a fault. After he spikes the ball, they embrace and hug each other. Movie ends.
So did they become a relationship?
But it was like one motion. He spikes the ball, and they go into like a hug, and they're like jumping up and down, celebrating. And Zendaya's like, "Damn it!" And the movie ends. And you're like,
So
"What
they
the
release.
fuck? What the
Is
fuck
it
was
bros
that?"
before hoes, or are they like we love each other after all of this?
I guess it's bros before hoes, but the night before, one of the guys fucked his wife, so it's like wasn't bros before hoes last night, was it?
Okay, I felt like this was going to be a streaming movie for me. Like anyway.
Yeah. Also,
I'm never gonna watch a movie for me.
Yeah. Don't waste your time. I nominated it for worst movie of the year. A lot of Brosker nominations coming from me this week.
This week.
All over the place. I'll be honest, I probably had higher expectations than I should have had for this. I really like Zendaya, and this seemed like a role with like a little bit of meat on the bone. Like to see her play sort of like an anti-hero or like someone who's like manipulative and sort of conniving was interesting to me. But this movie feels like it's like a parody. Like it thinks it's like making fun of like those types of films. And I'm like, why don't you just make that type of film? Would have been cool. But it didn't. It's like, no, we'd rather make fun of it. And again, anytime it gets dramatic.
Okay. Hey, if you're listening out there and you're like me, you're like, hey, I fucking love German techno, go listen to Artist Scooter. Scooter, I know, man, he's incredible. He raps in English horribly with just deep, awesome German beats behind
All right,
it.
well, maybe if he started rapping in the middle of this, I would have been like, all right, well, that's kind of fucking cool. So, challengers, I challenge you to try and sit through it and enjoy it. All right, Cycly, why don't you close off protein shake with some?
Okay, see, that's why we need to use our Rotten Tomatoes account, because that would be your review. Like, that would be you click and that would be the one sentence you get out of the entire review. I'll go really fast here. Banner, this is really for you. After years of hurt and pain and suffering, I finally my wife is out of town on a business trip and finally decided to I just finally got the inkling to rewatch Game of Thrones.
Wow.
And
how brave
it's
of you.
been so long. I remember how it ended. I know we still feel that pain. And I remember swearing, like, it ended so badly. I was like, I don't know if I'll ever rewatch the show again. And it's crazy because Game of Thrones is one of the few things that like society shared outside of Jeff. Like, everyone was a part of it. Everyone was on Twitter talking about every episode. Everyone was on Reddit talking about every episode. And it was such an iconic cultural phenomenon. And the way it ended the way it did, and the way the like showrunners shit on it the way they did, just really left. I don't know. I know a lot of people swore it off, and I just finally got the inkling. I've been rereading the books, and we're getting the second season of the House of the Dragon coming up here soon. Yeah, and I just finished season 1, and god damn it, is it so good? It's so good, and I'm like,
even knowing where it's at. Are you picking up on different things?
Yeah, and that's what hurts so bad is like, no, like, because I don't think the way they ended it like paid a tribute. Like, you can't credit them for the way they ended it, right? Like, it's not like, oh wow, there was foreshadowing here. This is by far some of the greatest television in history, and God, it just made it harder. Like, every episode drew me in, even though have watched it multiple times over the years. This is the first time since the show ended. And man, season 1 ended, and I was just as gutted as I was the first time around. Like, oh, I can't wait to start season 2. And Jeff, I know you're like the one person in history that hasn't watched it, but like, if there was a time for you to watch it, this is probably it. Like, now that no one cares about it anymore, and it's like just made everyone hate it, like, it's still, so far, it's still worth it. And I don't know how far I'm going to get until I get pissed off again. That's the question.
I think it's really around just season 5.
Yeah. Were Benioff and Weiss like behind it the whole time, and they just fucking lost it?
Yes,
or they didn't care anymore.
The biggest controversy is, well, there's two. One, George R.R. Martin it's still like 3 books behind. So eventually the show caught up with the books and surpassed it. So a lot of people want to say, well,
he'll never actually release them.
No, and here's the thing. I will defend them in this one way, even though they suck. People say, oh, they like lost the plot once the books caught up with the books and they didn't know what to do. And they like, well, George R.R. Martin's over there writing the books. George R.R. Martin was involved. So I'm sick of people blaming them both because he told them shit. Like, what
George R.R. Martin did was he said, hey, this is, I think, what my next books are going to be. Yes. Tell me if these are a good idea. Oh, it sucked? Hold on. Yeah. I haven't released him yet, so I'm going to write this and make it good.
Yes. That's exactly what fucking happened. I will die on that hill. I don't care what conspiracy theory it is. That's why George R.R. Martin is now not releasing these books. He's like, oh, shit, that was my idea, and everyone got pissed.
That was like his focus group, basically.
Yes. And he gets to play the hero. Everyone's like,
he's got a free pass.
They killed his baby. Like, no, like, dude, I don't.
Dude, if I was Benioff and Weiss, I would throw him under the bus. Like, this motherfucker told us what his story was.
Well, I think it's on both. HBO was like, look, we'll have you go another 4 seasons, and we're going to pay you a lot of money. They were so excited about the Star Wars contract. Like, they literally, like, because the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones not only is rushed in the story, but it's rushed in episodes. We got 10 episodes a season, and the last 2 are like 6 or 7. So, so inherently, they did fuck up. HBO was like, guys, this is a cultural phenomenon. This is definitive moment of a generation. And they're like, no, Star Wars money. So, which is hilarious that they got it taken away. But, Brian, I know you love the show as much as I did. It does, rewatching it, like all the reintroduction of the characters, it's like, fuck, dude, it still
at this point, like how it ends is whatever. Like you guys know me, I'm not so much for the ending being an issue.
Ride.
Spoilers. It's all about the journey for me. It's just such a daunting task. Like, because Game of Thrones isn't one of those ones that you could like throw on while you're cooking dinner. Like you kind of got to pay attention to know what the fuck is going on. Now maybe
Jeff
on a
has
second
to. You
watch,
and I maybe
yeah. I guess on a second watch, I may not have to do that as much, but it's just such a daunting task.
I bought the first book and it's pretty dense, but I know or like each chapter it gives you like a different perspective, which I don't know if that'll be easier in a book or in the show to keep up with.
I've read the first 4 books, and the show is. I'm not a big fan of the writing style. I mean, it's fun to read, but I don't like chapters that go 5 chapters, 6 chapters later to address something that was just done. But that's just how I feel. But Jeff, I know it's one of those things to say. I think if there's a time for you to watch it, it's now. Like we're years past the pressure of anyone talking about it, and there's no one guilting you for not watching it, and it's just like now you can participate.
Yeah, it's like what's the Jim Gaffigan? I
just watched Heat. I don't want to talk about it now.
I want to talk about it now. So that could be me.
That would be hilarious. You just go around, like, guys, I just finished the Red Wedding episode. What the fuck? I was like, what? That was like 10 years ago, too. 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'll start tweeting about like, holy shit, have you guys seen this Red Wedding episode?
I'm just like, Brian, it's worth getting hurt again so far. So if you're ever tempted.
Maybe.
I'm assuming they're all on Max. I only asked because Max has had an issue with like taking down some of their, like, I think they took The Sopranos off for a little while and then brought it back.
I would imagine they'd never take Game of Thrones down, but
why would you do that?
It's like the McRib, man. They take it away so we miss it. And I think Game of Thrones and the McRib, there's so many similarities there.
That actually are. It's really good at the beginning, and then it's all regret by the time you finish it.
Wow. Nice. That's pretty good. All right, anything else?
I covered it.
That's all I got.
All right, that brings us to the last part of our show.
You lift, bruh?
Wow, we went the muscular guy here. Do you even lift, bruh? The question and answer segment where we ask you a question that we then leave you guys with. Normally we talk pre-pod about this, but we're doing our top 100 movies of all time list for all of the bros. It's linked in the description of this podcast episode. Banner, before we jump in, why don't you give the people a quick synopsis or a description of what these top 100 lists are for all of us? Because it's not like a Film Institute or like an NYU film students list of their top 100 pieces of cinema. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, this is my top 100. Okay. There's no rhyme or reason to why these make it there. Well, there is, I guess. Some of them are nostalgia. Some of them are tied to a specific event. Jeff's very first DVD is on this list purely because it was the first DVD he ever owned. So these are our top 100s, very personal to us. It's not necessarily, I think this is a better movie than that movie. There are, out of my 100, there are probably 85 that don't deserve to be on a top 100 list.
Please go look at Brian's top 100, everyone. It's so bad. It's amazing.
If it's not Brian Banner, it's not that list. That is my list. It speaks to me.
Yeah, we don't have to defend it to anybody.
Yeah. I will, but I don't have to.
But it's not legally obligated. All right, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot. Cycly, you were down to your number 39. Would you mind doing 39 and 38 tonight? And then Banner, you and I can just do our 38.
Absolutely. Could you just remind me what my last one was?
Der Untergang, which is
Untergang, yes.
Also translates to downfall. That was your number 40.
That was it.
And like, talk about people like, okay, I thought you just said these weren't like curated film top 100 lists. Don't worry. Banner's was Spider-Man 2002, which that and Der Untergang are usually always mentioned in the same breath. And then my number 40 was Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So at number 39, Banner had World War Z, and I had Toy Story. Cycly, what will be joining those two films on your list at number 39?
This is a fun one. A movie that you and I saw together in 2008. Really redefined horror movies for us, The Strangers. I think you had it on your list a little earlier. I think in your 80s or something. But this is a film, again, as I mentioned earlier,
82
huge horror head. Jeff and I just fucking love scary movies. But this movie, why it's so high on my list inherently wasn't necessarily just because of the fear related to the movie or like how the plot was. It was the cinematic experience. And anytime I rewatch this film, I relive that. Because one, Jeff, you and I saw the film in a completely sold out theater. And it's what makes horror movies great. The entire audience was so bought in.
Scared
and
shitless.
Everyone was feeling the exact same emotions. It wasn't like someone on the side was like, this is stupid, and someone found it fun or scary. Like everyone, I remember the guy to my left, I have no idea who he is, hope he's doing well today, like was literally like this huge guy. And he like at one point like put his knees to his chest and like held on and screamed. And I was just like, man, I wanted to like be like almost laugh at him, but I was just as equally scared. And this film, and even though when you rewatch it, it's not as scary because the elements of horror in The Strangers is it's obviously realistic. It's not supernatural, but it's the subtleties. It's the background movements. It's what's happening where the main characters aren't realizing, right? Like we as the audience get to see things that the main characters don't. And this movie really fundamentally did it so differently. It didn't go hard to the wall, like hard in the paint or anything like that. It was subtle. It was brutal. It was gory. But damn, it was just scary. This is a scary movie. This is what a scary movie is.
This is
the
terrifying.
scariest movie I've ever seen. And it's so effective because the movie plays with you as the audience the way that the killers play with their victims.
Yeah.
The movie could jump scare you at any time. But why do that when it can make you fear the jump scare for 20 minutes?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't scared of it. I wanted the jump scare. I was like,
I know. I was like, please, rip off the Band-Aid. And the movie's like, we're not going to make it that easy for you, bitch.
Because the movie is realistic in the sense of, like, I could place myself as the main character, right? I could place my significant other as the other main character. It's like, what would I do in this situation? And a lot of what they do isn't unrealistic. When you watch other horror movies or slasher movies, they run upstairs and take a shower, right? And you're just like, why would you do that? No real person would do that. The Strangers, they literally do what they should do for the most part, being a rural country house. And that's what's so fucked up about the film. Like they're smart characters. They're not dumb. They're not idiots. They're very much just out of their element. And this movie just, when I think peak horror, the movies that get me in my core, it was The Strangers. Now, again, rewatching these kind of movies, it's never going to be as scary, but it still sets you back to the first time.
Where in your theater experiences does this rank? Like best, second best?
That's a great question. If this was theater experience, this is top 5. You know what else is up there? Anchorman. Anchorman, for some reason, top 5 experience. I had people on the floor laughing. Like, I remember that. Like,
I was like that
visually.
with Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah. Like, I mean, this was definitely a top 5, top 10 for sure.
Cycling theater experience. Would you put My Bloody Valentine 3D on that list?
Bro, I was so drunk for that. I wish I could tell you. All I'll ever forget is you and I went out to the college town we were in, and we went and hit the strip or the campus corner or whatever, and we saw like a sorority girl with the glasses, the 3D glasses, and I will never forget this. And this was not her being funny. She goes, I don't get, these glasses don't do anything. I'm like, oh my God, the girl doesn't realize we see in 3D.
It's like, they don't make things 3D. I'm like, you are not seeing things in 3D.
But fuck, yeah, those are awesome.
You should go get your eyes checked.
Yeah.
So The Strangers, 2008. If you've never seen it, man, please go watch it.
Check it out. And I guess it's a prequel, right? The one coming out this year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have a prequel coming out this year and the sequel,
a couple years ago.
And that's pretty good. It does. I'm a little nervous for the prequel because I don't want it to just redo a lot of what it did. The sequel does, but the sequel at least does a little bit of different things. And there's one scene I've told Jeff about that's really great in the sequel. I mean, it doesn't live up to the original, but it's
we saw the sequel together, right?
You guys did a review on it, I think.
Yeah, I think we did.
The swimming pool scene was fantastic.
Yeah, I think as a whole, the second one just inherently isn't going to be better because it is the same thing. But
Yeah.
it did do a good job of staying creative and at least tried to differentiate itself from the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth a watch.
Check that out. May 17th is when the prequel comes out. So
Oh shit, maybe we'll have a double feature, Brian.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, brings us to our number 38 movies of all time to close out the night. Brian, what is yours, ranking one ahead of World War Z, which was at 39?
Number 38 is Stripes.
Wow.
This movie was one of the first DVDs that we had as a family. However, this was a rated R one, so we weren't supposed to watch it. So this was that movie that you always snuck to watch, even though you knew you weren't supposed to watch it. So I watched it, 1,000 times. This movie is hilarious. It kind of loses itself in the third act, but the first two acts, when they're at the going into boot camp and when they're at boot camp, and they graduate. Once they graduate from boot camp, it gets kind of gets a little ridiculous. But up until that point, just classic Bill Murray comedy, John Candy, just fabulous old school comedy.
Harold Ramis. I mean, this is like your dream cast for the 80s, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the 80s Mount Rushmore of comics, right?
Yeah, it's got to be. Who was this? Mel Brooks? Let me see who directed this.
It's Ivan Reitman.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Stripes was one that I think like one of my friends' dads like had the VHS of it. And we were always like, dude, we should try and fucking watch that. He was like, no, man, it's rated R.
Yep. That's it. That's the exact it. This was, you snuck it and watched it when you could.
That alone.
We all had that movie.
Oh yeah, that alone gives it a spot on a top 100 list. The Forbidden
I've never
Fruit.
seen it.
I don't know if I have either.
Yeah.
Maybe parts. I feel like this used to play on Comedy Central a lot.
Yeah, this is one of those ones that you may not have realized, but you've definitely seen parts of it. There's several fairly famous scenes.
Sean Young.
That's the fact, Jack.
Sean Young was in Ace Ventura. If I remember right. She's Finkel. Einhorn is Finkel. Nice, Brian. All right, I will end with the 2001 remake of Ocean's 11, which our commentary, I believe, on the podcast might be our most viewed movie commentary of all time. Absolute blast. Talk about like one of the greatest casts ever assembled for a movie. I mean, that's where we stand with this thing. And if you've listened to the pod before, that I am a sucker for heist movies. Maybe my favorite genre of film. And
I don't think that's a maybe.
Yeah, definitely my favorite genre of film. And Ocean's 11 is just a perfect example of that. You have good characters. You have comedy. You have, I think, some of the best like bit characters in this, like Casey Affleck, who's an Academy Award-winning actor.
So fucking funny.
So fucking funny. Has maybe like 7 minutes of screen time, but he's fucking incredible. And actually, I think it's better in the sequels because they actually realize, like, okay, this guy's fucking
they use
hilarious.
him a little bit more.
Yeah. Don Cheadle's incredible in it. Of course, Julia Roberts is great. Andy Garcia is awesome. It's just everything about this works. The heist, of course, has to be a little ridiculous because it's an Ocean's movie, but it's just a great fucking piece of film. And Steven Soderbergh, who is a guy that I have like mixed opinions about a lot of his movies. Sometimes he gets a little pretentious, gets a little weird. This is just him with his fastball, like delivering us quality cinema from every angle. Looks incredible. Perfect runtime, great finale, cool twist at the end. Basically a near perfect viewing experience. Not a perfect movie, but something when you watch, you're like, dude, that was really fucking fun. And I would watch it again. So 2001 Ocean's 11. I will say I've still never seen the Rat Pack one, but I've actually heard that it kind of sucks. Like people that have rewatched it recently or like within the last 2 decades.
Yeah, I haven't watched it recently.
So
I've actually never watched any of the Ocean's films. I've never seen them.
Wow.
The
Yeah.
fuck?
Not on purpose. Like this wasn't like, oh, I'm never gonna like. It's just never happened for me.
I get it. I know
There
guys
were
that are
opportunity,
super
timing. I don't know. Yeah.
11 and 13 are good. 12's fine. 8's fine.
Eight's whatever. Yeah. Eight's fine.
Yeah.
All right, to close us off, Cycly, what is your number 38 movie, one ahead of The Strangers?
Oh, okay. Very similar to Strangers. It is Disney's Lion King. No, I mean, what do I have to say about Lion King that hasn't been said? Or has
That's the live action one, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's number one. What are you talking about? I'm going to jump over.
Yeah, it's too low.
No, God, I'm pretty sure the live action one is as far down as it can go, as with a lot of the remakes. I mean, what is there to say about Lion King, guys? I mean, if we haven't gotten to you, if it's not in everyone's top 100, I don't know. As a kid, I mean, the film is obviously for kids, but it's for parents, it's for humans. It's a beautiful film. It's just, that's what it is. Obviously taking off Shakespeare. So inherent story, like a lot of times they did with Disney, the voice acting, the seriousness, the drama. I remember as a kid crying because I looked at my dad as Mufasa, and in that scene, when Simba is just desperate.
You don't have a heart if you don't cry.
Yeah, I don't know how you can watch that scene. And it's like when people talk about like Disney and like Up and other like Pixar, I'm like, dude, we've done like animated movies. It's not weird or new for them to be emotional and raw. And it's just like, man, if you don't feel something when you're watching that kind of stuff, yeah. So like, I mean, there's nothing else to say about Lion King. I mean, we're gonna get the Mufasa movie coming out soon. I don't know how
Trailer
I feel
just
about
dropped
that.
this week.
Yeah, trailer just
The
dropped.
trailer
I don't
just
know.
dropped.
I don't know how I feel about
It was my.
I mean, will I go see it? Probably. I wish it was more animated than anything. I don't know why we had to do what they're doing, but yeah, the story. Again, that's the great thing about Lion King. Whether the story is for kids or not, it just hits on every fundamental human emotion, and it's an epic. I think it's one of those movies they've sent out into space, right? Like to save for human history. I think they do with a few movies. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys add anything. I don't know if you guys
there's
are.
just like a VHS floating around in space of Lion King.
No, they literally have a ton of movies that they do this. That they
are they in like
put
a
into,
capsule or something?
Yeah,
Like,
they're
what
in
are
a
they
capsule. Yeah, and that way, like there's a lot of movies and human stories that are in a capsule. Like
Is
in case aliens ever find
up there?
Oh, absolutely, that's the number one.
It better be.
You know how that
Better
would
be up there.
confuse aliens who discover human? Like they'd be like, "Wow, they have
How are
people
these?
can change into dinosaurs."
Like, are these the same thing?
Aliens wouldn't know.
This one is one of those movies, we talk about it a lot, that I would be shocked, and I haven't done the research just now, but I'd be shocked if it's not on all 5 of the Bros top 100 list.
It's on at least 3 as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's on mine coming up.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of surprised
it's
it's this low for you, Cycly.
Thurman had it at 66, and Cycly has it at 38.
Yeah. And we're getting to the point in time, like, and you're right, Jeff, it is low in my head, but like, we're getting to the point in time, it's like, shit, the next 35 movies, 38 movies or whatever, it's like so jam-packed that the line differentiating these films from one position to the next are just so thin. Like, I
Lion
can
King
easily
maybe
argue
at 38. Lion King's 38 for you, but you could talk yourself into being at 16.
Absolutely.
That's how close.
Overnight.
That's how close we are in some of these movies now.
I mean, they're all basically 5-star movies for us at this point.
I'm not joking. Films. I still change every time until it's finalized on our website,
For sure.
forcecog.com. Like, man, I still look at it and change like 1 or 2 spots. It's impossible.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, man. It's like these movies. At least at this point, we've probably seen them all so many times that we have such a good sample size that I could easily see this stuff moving. All right. Anything else?
I think we covered it.
Lion King.
Let's just make sure we pull over for emergency vehicles, guys. Okay. I'm just getting disappointed out there, not seeing the proper road laws that I like to see. Do better.
Yeah, we got to do
better.
I feel like Banner too often recently has been disappointed in our road etiquette.
Yeah, 2023 was great. 2024, guys, we've had a drastic drop off.
Jeez, pick it up, folks. If you're listening to this while driving, just to be safe, even if you don't hear sirens, pull over for a second. Signal, obviously.
Just stay pulled over.
Yeah. Naturally signal.
Never drive again. Yeah, never back up on the road. All right, Cycling, what's the advice you want to leave the people with?
Usually I say drive fast in the left lane, but I'm going to go with Banner. We have a school bus stop outside our house, and cars don't stop for buses anymore. I remember when you get off the school bus, remember the stop sign pops out? Do you guys remember that? Yeah. They still do that, and people don't stop anymore. And this bus driver has resorted into holding down the horn. Holding it down the horn.
Good for that bus driver.
Yeah.
Good for that bus driver.
Stop for a fucking school bus. These are children crossing the street.
Shocking we have to say this. My God. Road etiquette has gotten out of control.
It's disgusting. Disgusting.
Gross. I'll pivot a little bit here. My advice, as always, just make smart decisions when getting your haircut. All right. Let's not go with any blue dyes, or you don't need that styling gel. You're too old for it. I know that the salon wants to upsell you because they get paid off commission.
What if I'm 21?
Okay, then yes, go
with the gel.
Go with the styling gel. Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, let's leave that at the salon. Okay. And no, you don't need to pick a haircut off of the poster that they have in there. Let's just stick with the usual bare essentials. All right, for the mad scientist Brian Banner, our legal counsel Ronnie Cycli, I'm the mayor Jeff Hornacek. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Follow us on Twitter, Threads, Instagram @Bro4Squad. We're on Letterboxd, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube. Just type it into Google too. Bro Force Squad. 3 separate words, and you can find everything we've ever done, the archive to all of our old audio stuff, our squad blog, top 100 list, you name it, on our website, bro4squad.com. Till next time, we'll see you at the theater for that double feature that Cycli and Banner are going to go to together.
Late Night with the Devil and...
I don't even remember what the other one was.
Backdoor Sluts 9.
Snack Shack.
Snack Shack.